Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans? Worlds Collide did not stumble, although you wouldn't know if I actually was stumbling on the intro or not anyway, because I might be just working everybody now at this point.
I think I work with you on these every time, and I don't even know. And if I did, I ain't telling.
Shady wrestling stuff. We're not even actually in the quote wrestling business, but
Nope.
We're in the wrestling card business. And once again, that's what we're going to talk about today.
That we are.
Once again, I'll just preface, if you are enjoying our content thus far, please subscribe, share it with a friend, leave us the, I can't say 6-star review today because we're not in the Tokyo Dome. We're in the
where are we today?
We're in the bingo hall. We're in the old ECW arena. It's quiet.
Okay.
You know, there's no shows running today, just us.
Yeah, for today, just like us. I don't even leave a review.
Yeah.
Just like us.
So today, and speaking of just liking, maybe not going above that, we're going to talk WWF Classic era, the classic cards.
I think one week we did the Flair era, didn't we?
We did, and we're coming back with classics. So, for whatever reason, you know, I said that Flair was a short run. We've got another short run here, and then the more I think about it, outside of Tops, and I mean, we could potentially count Merlin. But every other like franchise or every license, I should say, with the WWE franchise has been short, every single one of them. But I think this one today is a very, very well-known thing. I think some people have kind of overvalued some of it. I think some people are undervaluing some of it and not appreciating it. So we're going to bounce around 1989, which not many people know about, and we're going to let you get into that.
Let's preface this first off that we're going to mainly focus on the 1990 and 91 releases.
Yes.
And that's 3 releases during those 2 years. The 89 we talk about, and we're going to talk about that.
There's a lot to go over on that one.
Is really regarded, it's not looked upon. People don't, we'll get into it. I have a lot of opinions on this.
So again, 1989 to 1991. Let's do a quick release recap. We had the classic 89, which I'm save the details on that for a minute.
Sure.
We had the 90. We had the 90 WrestleMania. Wasn't that considered like part 2?
They call it
Series 2
Classic Series 2.
Okay, and that was all
featuring WrestleMania.
All WrestleMania, and then at the end of the checklist, there's like some like single individual cards of some people.
Yeah.
And then we have the famous 1991. So where to start? A lot to get into here.
Where do you want to start at? I mean, do you want to just dive right into the fact of the 89 set?
Let's start at the first. Let's start at 89 and work our way towards 91.
All right. Well, 1989 set from Classic. First off, let's get that right out of the way. It's not from Classic. It's titled as Classic, but the company that actually put this out is called Game Time Inc. Trust me, whether you knew or didn't know, that's exactly what it is, though. It has the Classic logo, has the Classic name, the packaging is the same, but the actual company that put this out is called Game Time Inc. I don't know if that's an earlier version of Classic or not. You'd have to go and do some Google Wikipedia stuff on that. But I didn't know this all these years. I didn't know this until I had redone the website and was moving things over and actually happened to have a 1989 Ultimate Warrior card that I was looking to put aside and send into PSA. And I looked in the back, I go, Game Time Inc. Oh, wait a second, I got to find, do I have a 90 version? I looked at the 90 version, and that says Classic, Classic Games Inc. I go, wait a second. So this is not really a Classic set. It's it's actually a Game Time Inc. set that's, looked down as an 89 set. Now, why this is, don't know. Don't know why. It was an early print run. It's some kind of a test market type of thing. But you're going to find packaging that will have 89. Sometimes we'll have 90 on it, and it'll have like blister packs. Will say 1990, but might have 89 stuff inside of it. copyright dates. So I don't know how much they printed. This is a time that a lot of these companies don't give you print runs. They
Yeah.
don't tell you how many cases were made.
Starting to get used to that the more we go over these things.
Which is why you got to really appreciate the years that that TriStar had that stuff, because the boxes were numbered.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a very similar set to what was put out for the 1990 set that gets the one that everybody kind of gravitates towards. Although this card set is a little bit bigger than the 1990 set. It's 159 cards as opposed to 150 cards. And there's some holes that if you go on the WTC checklist, and for those tuning in for the very first time, WTC stands for WrestlingTradingCards.com. So everybody in the hobby calls it WTC. You go to the website and check out the checklist. There's little asterisk marks on certain cards that have yet to this day be identified as legit, a legit card, what it is, first off, and if it has an 89 copyright date on it. So if you go through the checklist and you see those and you say, I've got card number 115 that has nothing you don't have on their website, it's this person and I can show you proof. There's the 89 copyright date in the back. I'd love to know, because we would want to know for years.
Something else on that I want to throw out there is I've seen some of the 89 stuff graded, and PSA still grading it as classic.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's
just want to throw that out there in case you are looking to buy slabs, or if you're getting a submission back or something, and if you've already submitted these, just to.
And I'm telling you, as someone who, for his very first submission to PSA ever, I got my cards back recently. It is dated 1989, but it's listed as classic. Yeah.
So just kind of putting that out there, even though it's not classic, it will be labeled that on a PSA slab if you're getting them back. So since we're on the 89 kick, let's talk about the values. I've done several videos where I've talked about this, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts. If, generally, I think in the wrestling card world, and even more so than sports, like people are looking at that first card as like the card to own for the most part. So last time I checked, 1989 comes before 1990. Yep. It might be the same card, but that little marking that says the year may make a difference in a huge amount of money between the two cards. So,
in case in point for this is why I personally will probably never send in a 1990 card number 5 Ultimate Warrior, which everybody gravitates towards from this set. I would send the 89 one, which I'm very fortunate in the fact that somehow over the years I've acquired so many of these 89 versions. I probably have 40, 45, 50 of these number 5 Ultimate Warrior. I sent you one.
Yes.
And if I'm going to send any of these to be grading over the years, that's the card I'm sending. I'm sending the 89 version over the 1990 version every single time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's off the beaten path, but I'd even take the 89 market scene over the 1990.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, it's like, I just don't it's one of those things we've talked about. And I did a whole, like a YouTube shorts. I've done several of the videos of it. Basically my love for the Miz is about the same as my love for the 1990 classic set. Like,
oh, that's your new PC now. That's where you're hitting. You're getting all that now.
Don't start. I just don't understand why people are so gravitated to it when they're not digging deep enough into wrestling cards and using your website and looking at the history and looking at checklists and like.
Well, I mean, I get the notion of different strokes for different folks like that. I get that. Maybe they like the imaging.
And I'm not saying like that Warrior card you're talking about, even the 1990 version, it's an awesome looking card.
He's got several that I like in that set. Actually, they're nice. I mean, that depiction, grumbling. I love. It's very powerful for that character, so it fits.
Yeah.
But it's plentiful. I mean, it might as well be. It's a WWF version of Impel.
That is exactly it, but lacking the cool design. We're getting off topic.
Exactly. Here. Like people aren't going to, for the classic set. I don't recall. Maybe I'm wrong from some indie stuff or something like that. I don't recall anybody mimicking that design. But you'll see the 87 tops. You'll see the
1990. They did 1991, but we're talking about just the plain Jane 90. The major wrestling figure pod did a 1991. But 19, there's nothing.
91. That's different. I'm talking about 90 classic. We're talking about 90 classic.
Nothing with 90. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very eye-appealing design that's going to, people go, oh, I got to have that set. It's just there were so many ways to get that release, by the way, too. Blister packs, boxes, they call like a starter kit. It's like that you can get from
The
that.
complete sets in the boxes.
Yeah,
too.
complete sets in a little box like that. Mailaways for binders, which I think there's some people who know there's a binder for the set. Others don't know there's a binder for the set, but they made an official binder, which is very unusual for wrestling cards to have a binder.
Yeah. Another card I want to throw in there, since we're talking the other really popular card in this is the Rockers, because people will look at that Shawn Michaels and I'm like, just go with the 89 version or go with the market scene version.
Which is, that those market scene version, which they're all awesome cards.
It's a totally separate discussion, I know,
but they're so hard to come by. I can see why people's like, you know what? I can't get the 82 Hogan, but I'll get the 85 Hogan. Oh, I'm priced on the 85 Hogan. I'll get the 87 Hogan. I get the logic there because there's more of the classic available. So
that makes sense.
I get it. But if you're going to be like, I'm doing this from an investment standpoint because I want the first, market scene that's the card to go with, man. That's a great card.
Rarer, minter, better.
Yep.
I stole that from SM Pratt, who's an awesome Pokemon guy on YouTube. But
I got to make a shirt out of that.
Older,
rarer, minter, better.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the actual 1990. Is there anything, we just touched on a lot of it. Is there anything else that we need to mention that's like stands out about the 1990 version? Any differences, any key cards, anything in there that you're thinking of?
There's nothing other than the fact that it's a shorter card set by 9 cards. It's a weird version why 89 is only 159 cards, I think, as opposed to this one's 145. I'm sorry, I thought it was 150. It's the second set. 91 is 150. I think, right? I don't know. I don't
have the checklist in front of me.
We'll get to it. Oh wow, which is kind of cool. It's going to go to dead pages, right? Yeah. Yes, it's 145 card set. So it seems like they made it's almost like the 89 was a test run type of thing. They sort of, okay, here's what made the final cut. We're going to cut it down to 149 cards. We like these logo card contest stuff. So we'll make, 136 through 145 as a logo contest kind of thing. But what was cool about this, the coolest thing about the 90 version is the promos they put out for that, which was purple board. That pops.
Yes.
That looks awesome. That's a cool Ultimate Warrior card. That's a cool,
the Hogan card where he's ripping his shirt. I found
that's a cool beefcake card.
Yeah, that's one of the cooler cards he's gotten, and it's Beefcake. I mean, I think we give that guy more airtime on this show than he's had in the last 20 years.
It's true. We should have him on.
Hey, if we can do it. That Hogan, that's what I want to say. It's kind of been bantered between myself and some others that maybe that promo set could have been considered one of the first parallel sets, but the difference being is that the images on these promo cards are not the same.
They're not the same. It's not a parallel.
Yeah. I think I may have said that, could it be, is it? But I think we've kind of decided that it's not, but those cards are awesome. I've got one of the Hogan cards that's I think it's a BGS 9 and it was under $100 for that grade. And I don't ever see them pop up. And I was like, I've got to buy this. So that's the one sector of the 1990 set that I absolutely love. So if
it's the best part of the entire set.
Yeah.
I mean, I might even, that's a good point. I know I have at least 2 of these complete sets, the promos. So I might just,
they're so good.
It'd be kind of cool to send a whole complete set in for grading and have it like a full set graded.
Yep. Regardless what the grades are, because
I don't care.
They're so hard to find.
Yeah. I think I would do that. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe that's something just for nostalgia purposes, that'd be kind of a cool thing to send to HGA for a custom slab kind of thing.
Oh yeah. That would be cool. All right.
But again, the wrestling album too. And again, I encourage anybody who listens to this or sees this eventually when it comes up on YouTube, many moons down the road, go to the checklist site. There's the WTC on there, and click on any one of these classic sets. You're going to see a lot of information on these. And this is something I think maybe I've been meaning to bring this up for a while. I think people go and they look at the checklist and they kind of don't scroll all the way to the bottom, because at the bottom of every release, there is every checklist. There's a release information section that will give you much more detail. And I'm doing a lot more work lately over the last several months of acquiring UPC numbers for boxes and packs and and this and that, noting that there's variants in the wrappers. Some wrappers contain this, have this on the cover, some have that. I want every bit of information to make it so easy for new collectors, old collectors getting back, those who've like never collected this particular set. So go down there, and there's a lot of information about these classic sets to let you know about the difference and how to tell the difference between each set.
Yeah, I actually may use that section of the checklist more than I use the actual checklist. Like if I have a question about a specific card in the checklist, I'll usually go find it, right? But then I skip all the way down to the bottom because there's so much good information in that at the bottom of the page. So yeah, just wanted to kind of pile on that. Let's talk about the differences in the 1990 sets, because in my opinion, you want to talk about a pretty generic set going to even more of a generic set. And that's the Series 2. Is that what we're technically calling it?
Well, the official name of the set is called WWF Classic Series 2, The History of WrestleMania. So what it did is at the time, it captured this set for basically the first, it's a 150 card set. And like the first, like 145 cards pretty much capture WrestleMania 1 through WrestleMania 6 at that time. And it's all same generic design of the border, so that's why it looks so similar to the 1990 Classic, and it just has all this in-ring stuff going on. And I know you've got a couple of favorites you like because it features certain people in there, and then it kind of just, and then it's like 145 cards. Let's throw in like 5 other
random
random posed studio shots,
Yeah.
And
which
then again,
I think Dusty Rhodes is one of those, isn't he, with the polka
yeah,
dots?
he rounds up the entire set.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But and then it also has an album, and it gets confused a lot, but the way to tell the difference is, because they're both 1990, is just know that this one will have it's referred to as a WrestleMania set. It's got very similar looks to it, but it's the backing will always give it away if you don't know is this Series 1 or Series 2. Is just kind of looking at the horizontal line on the tops like that. So the card number will be above the upper right corner, where Series 1 has the card number. Even with you could just check the checklist page out; it'll tell you exactly how to identify. But it really should be easy to identify just from the front, because it just features WrestleMania stuff.
Yeah, and it does. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't most, if not all, actually have the WrestleMania logo from whatever the shot was?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. You think you're right. So yes, I mean, it's just, I don't understand why people would get confused by it, but I guess if you're really new to the hobby and looking, and you've stumbled across it at a yard sale or something like that, and you want to know, it's really easy to tell by just saying, does it have WrestleMania stuff on it? Okay, this is probably a Series 2 then.
And the cards that I'll mention in this, the only cards, and you mentioned it before, but this in this series, you can see Donald Trump in the crowd in several of the cards.
Yes.
So, politics aside, because I'm indifferent, but it's one of those hidden Easter eggs, like that Triple H card that's got Sasha and Alexa and Charlotte all in it when they were at the same kind of thing here with Donald Trump in the crowd.
Now, it's also important to know on this set, by the way, that there's a couple of different image variations that exist in the set, and this is due to print run times. So there's no way to really tell if you have a first print run or a second print run kind of thing. But there's some in it where it featured. Case in point is card number 3. Card number 3 has the most noticeable photo image variation in set. So an earlier one, we're going to assume it's an earlier print run, will show you Hogan with Mr. T, where then you'll also find the same card. Well, it cuts out Mr. T and just shows Hogan. You'll see like Mr. T's like elbow or something like that, but he's 100%.
I think that was like a licensing thing. Or...
I think it might have been. It could have been. They weren't working with him anymore at the time. I mean, is Mr. T in the Hall of Fame with them? Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, eventually he got into the Hall of Fame, but maybe there's a falling out at the time. I don't know if there's any controversy at the time with him like that, but that's one thing to do. Another key point to look about from the set is to find out kind of which version you have is there's a register, the registered trademark logo, the register, not the TM, but the R with the circle around it. On the front and back, you'll notice that some of them have an R on it, some don't. So there's kind of like, if you're like somebody looking for variations and like variants,
Yeah.
that's kind of a cool thing to look at, because, and the fronts are hard to see based on whatever image it was. So there's if it says, you know, it has a trademark next to the Wrestlemania, whatever, on the front, and it's on a dark image, it's going to be really hard to see. You have to look at it from really bright light, and I hope you have really good eyesight. But there are some image variations. Now, and the value of these don't increase by any means at all. I haven't seen, me personally, I haven't seen any massive, there's no big giant price difference between, like, I got one with a register mark, I have one without.
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing in this set, by the way,
No,
that holds any value of any kind right now at all. I mean, 20 years from now, will that change? I don't know. But right now, this stuff is so plentiful from even a single standpoint. Like, maybe finding factory sets is going to be valuable.
It's the 1991 Impel, which means, well, it's not even that good, but it's this from a production level. It's like that. They're everywhere. And in my opinion, if you really, I mean, if you're a set collector, that's one thing. But if you're like, you know, looking for something to hold value, sealed complete set, like you just said.
That's it.
That's it. And I don't think that's a bad. I mean, you can probably get that for like $20 right now. So
or maybe even, you know, get the official binder with the whole set already put inside.
Yeah.
It's like that. I think it was sold that way too. But get that. You know, it's a cool little extra piece to add. You know, kind of like a nice little, you know, table piece for yourself.
If you like if you like a historic, it's a piece of history, and it's not going to cost you very much, and you like base sets, then I think it's a good idea to pick one up. But if, you know, from an investment perspective, maybe a sealed complete set or something, but outside of that, I don't see anything. But if we're going to talk about stuff that maybe, let's move on to 1991.
In 1991, they did something nice with that one.
Yeah, yeah. Completely changed the design. It's an interesting design. We had never seen anything really like that before. It's not really flashy, but it's different enough to where it really stands out.
Yeah, and it's simple. It's a simple design that really just kind of, it sort of captures that time period, I think, really, 1991.
We've got down that there's differences with the UK release, which I don't think many people are talking about. I've had a couple people reach out to me and tag me in things, send me DMs if I have a lot of information, and I don't. So do you have very much information about the differences between the UK version and the standard?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Go check out WrestlingTradingCards.com. Cheap plug.
Oh my.
No, there is a noticeable difference. Now, it's also not very well known. There are people who, I guess, may say that, like, oh, I knew about that. Really? Well, I don't really hear you really clamoring about it or talking about it. Or when
if they knew about it, they would have been promoting it when this set was blowing up a year ago.
Sure. Yeah. So, and no one really talked about it. Nobody talked about it when the set was blowing up. Everybody just gravitates towards, because we'll get to the Undertaker card, or cards. Nobody talked about it. Nobody mentioned, like, yeah, hey, be careful because there's two different versions of the set. And I even went out and I reached out to Chuckster and I reached out to Paul, and neither one of them have this card, that the European version in their collections. And these are two guys that have one of the most extensive and amazing collections on the planet. And they're like, I don't have that one. And I have that set. And I'm like, wow, I got something that Chuckster and Paul doesn't have, you know. Yeah. I'd rather have the WCW autograph set, but I'll take this. It's just, one is, here's how you tell the difference. It's the exact same 150 card set. The difference is in the size of the card, where the European cards are slightly smaller than the US versions, like that. I mean, but they're noticeable. It's not like, oh, I got to really measure it out and check it. It's noticeable when you put the two side by side. It's slightly smaller. Your standard's like 2.5 by 3.5 inches. Mm-hmm. These are 2.5 by 3 3/8. So there's a different difference in size. Also, the quality of cardboard that the European version is printed on is slightly less, how do you put it? Good, I guess.
Thinner and flimsy.
It's a little more papery. I think is a little bit probably, yeah, but flimsy's a good, yeah, flimsy. So you'll notice in those two ways, those are, and those are both outlined on the checklist on WTC, where you can help you identify what you have, kind of thing. So if you just take a regular ruler, tape measures like that, and if you have a nice pristine copy, because my copies are not in pristine condition at all. But if you have, I wish I would have had I should have gone to storage and gotten sample. That's why we suck at this. But
well, you can't get into the storage unit because they're printing info in there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it gets hot in there, and I don't want to be in there
Yeah.
with all that stuff going on. So ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
But there is a difference, and it's very easy to tell if you just look at the size and the quality of cardboards like that. But I don't know what the overall value of a good condition card from the classic European set would go
Yeah.
for, as opposed to the regular classic. But I would imagine if everyone's clamoring for that Undertaker card, which is what, card number?
So it depends on which, we'll get into that, like which card the market decides on, because it's all over the place.
So he's got, I'm looking at the checklist right now.
Is it 8 cards?
He's got card number 30. I think it's his first card in the set. He's got card number, oh man, I would have all this stuff, 64. He's got card number 88. He's got card number wow, I'm losing it. He doesn't have that many. I think he has 4 cards in this set, right?
I thought it was more than that.
You know what, my eyesight is really bad right now. I don't know what's going on, but I see 4. And he's got a couple he shares with Paul Bearer as well too. So
those are some of the ones that people have kind of gravitated to. And then I'm trying to pull up the 64 card number 64.
That's the classic one everybody's going for, right? No pun intended, but that's the classic one everybody's going for.
That one, or the ones with if there's one on there with Paul Bearer from the classic set.
So, I mean, this set holds some notoriety in the sense that it has like an early Undertaker card that people like to call his rookie card, whatever you want to call him, first appearance or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so people went out and clamored for that one and tried to, and made that card become like this desired card from that set, which drove the price up for the entire set as a whole. I've got several of these just sitting in singles that, I said, okay, I'm pulling out. I guess that's the flavor of the month. I'm going to go ahead and send it in.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard because, for new collectors coming in, like we've seen some of these other random cards from the Undertaker in the same set. It's kind of like when we talked about This Is Your Card Paul E, where he's got like 4 or 5 cards in the set. Which one is the first? Which one is the rookie? Is it the very first one in the line? Is it the one that the market dictates, which is what I usually agree with?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what this one is. I think that card, what I say, 64? I already closed it.
Yeah, 64.
Card number 64. I think that's the one in this set that everybody's clamoring after. But, if you just buy them all.
Yeah, buy them all. Exactly. That's always a great way to go. Can't go wrong when you have them all.
That's pretty much all I had. Like, that's the standout of 91. It's a new design, got the Undertaker rookie cards on them. There's some other good cards in there. There's a really good Hogan where he's like just flexed up and he's got an American flag kind of draped over him. It's a pretty iconic card.
I love that card.
It's not like incredibly high value. I mean, I think if you get a high grade on it, you're looking at $100, $200, which isn't chump change for wrestling cards.
No, to me, your favorite tag team. It's got an amazing card of
Legion of Doom.
Yeah. I love that card.
Good stuff in there too. But cool design. Some cards in there worth looking at. So that's pretty much it for classics. So where do you see? What's your overall opinion on them, or where do you see them going in the future?
I think the Undertaker card drives the set, obviously. Anytime you're going to have an iconic star like that, and it's in an early release of that person within a set, it's just going to help keep that set as a whole. People are going to buy it as a whole because it contains that card in it, or those cards that they want specifically that are driving the market. So I think it's just going to go up. I think it's a good card to have for Undertaker. It's classic Undertaker, obviously again, no pun intended, but it's just it's cool shots. Early Undertaker, rookies, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't hurt. Trust me, it doesn't hurt. And years down the road, it's surprising. We did an episode once where we talked about people to invest in for future. Undertaker didn't make either one of our lists.
Nope. I mean, that doesn't mean this is a bad buy, but we had to pick the Mount. We had to pick the Mount Rushmore on that episode. You know, if we wanted to pick like a top 5 or a top 10, he might have made it on there. But
I would definitely put Taker in my top 10 for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely, he'd be in my top 10. But is this going to be the card that drives Taker? Is this the set where you get the Taker card from this set from Classic? That's going to be like the card to have in the future.
It's hard to say because it's also competing with the 1991 Merlins, which have, I think, better images. This exact image is in there too.
I sent more of those in the PSA than I did the Classic.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I sent none of Classic. I sent all Merlin stuff because I love those images better.
Me too.
Same year. I mean, sports does it. This is my thing about rookies in the same year.
Here we go.
You have sports did it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You could have Topps, Bowman, Fleer, Upper Deck. You had a Donruss. You had all these different things, and you had a player that existed in all those sets because that was a time that they all had licensing rights to make baseball cards, football cards, whatever it was. So You had the ability. Yeah, the market would dictate which one was like the valuable one to have. They're still all rookies though.
Yeah,
they're all rookies. And that's the same thing in wrestling when we had that time frame, because it doesn't exist now. When you had a time frame where a Classic was making the same year as Merlin was making the same year. I mean, there's a few little, crossovers in the same years that, same thing with, hey, Comic Images put stuff out the same time that Artbox put stuff out.
Yeah.
For wrestling, WWF. They both had licenses. They just have different agreements that I can't put traditional trading cards. Ours are going to be lenticular motion stuff exclusive where you put out traditional trading cards. But people still go after, like, I need to have that Trish Butt card. I got to have that Trish, motion card of The Rock, doing the whole, thing like this. I got to have that. Where, these sets feature Taker and over in Europe, the Merlin stuff, which I and you both agree. I think those are great images over there.
Yep.
But people gravitate towards the Classic, and the market's going to say, nope, that blue bordered Classic is the go-to card. Okay, fine. I don't care. I still like the Merlin stuff better.
I think it's a side note, but that's one thing that's frustrating about wrestling card rookie talk is in the sports card world, you can still have the card like the Mickey Mantle, like 52 Mantle is the rookie card, even though he had a card before that and he's got cards after that. And
we kind of do it in wrestling. 82 Hogan is the Hogan card to have.
Right. But then I'll use this example. There's cards before 82.
Sure.
There's cards after, and there's people that like all of them. So it just seems like the wrestling card community, while it's fantastic, they argue too much over what is the rookie card instead of being like sports and being like, I'll just buy them all. That's because really, like, I don't see people in sports card world arguing. They're just like agreeing that, yeah, that's a good rookie card. That's a good rookie card. That's a good rookie card. Because there's so many different versions.
Do you think with this Classic set though, for that Taker card for 91 Classic, because out of all this talk, of all of the Classics we've had, outside of the 89, maybe Ultimate Warriors kind of being the pool to have for that set. And I guess the Rockers to an extent like that too. The 91 Classic set has a Taker that people graduate. Do you think that's going to be the card for Taker to have over the Merlins? Or do we, fast forward a couple of years and go for that action pack card? Not the autograph, but just the action pack card of 94 action pack, which to me is a way better card.
I think it's going to be the Merlins.
You think the Merlins over a long time are going to be the money ones? I
think they're harder to find. They're over, because like I just don't see as many of them popping up as I see the Classics.
In any language, by the way.
Yeah, in any of the languages, or if all of them, there are people that probably want to get the variations of them, which I think that's a cool idea. It's kind of a version of a parallel. So it's an early parallel if you want to think about it like that. Really, for Classic, this is what it boils down to me. 89, like basically anything 89. If you pick your favorite wrestler. Obviously, I want any Warrior 89s and any Rocker 89s. I think are good goes. As far as the 1990 stuff, sealed boxes, the sealed complete sets, whether that's
keep them sealed.
Yes, keep them sealed. Just like all this crap in the background that's all sealed. Because what happens if that takes off down the road and somebody is buying those to grade stuff out of them, then you're going to be okay. And it's also just cool to have sealed wax sitting around.
Sure.
I've talked about that in previous videos on my YouTube channel. But so sealed, back to 1990, sealed product or promos. I think the promos may be the coolest cards, in my opinion, that we've talked about tonight. Like
of all those releases, by the way,
Yeah.
that's my favorite. Those are my favorite cards of all the class, more than the Undertaker
Yes.
rookie from 91. I just think that's a cool. There's something about that purple design and the studio photo shoot. They just pop, man.
If we can get Brutus Beefcake's name elevated to where we have by talking about these cards, it's a cool set.
That's right.
Following it up, 1991, there are sealed complete sealed complete boxes of those out there, because I saw them all the time where they were, I think they got up to like $200-300 at one point when wrestling, I mean, the whole trading card world took off, but wrestling cards too. So keeping those sealed. And then of course, go out there and buy all of the singles of the Undertaker that you can. And it doesn't matter what it is, they're all great. So there's a lot of options. Despite not being a lot of chase cards, there's still a lot to offer. And going back to the Fleer episode that we did, there were some cool relics, there were some cool rookies in one set.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot to chase in the base. And I think in this there is. So that's another cool thing about some of these older sets, that there's not a lot of cool stuff in it, but there's chase based on rookie or based on a variation.
Yeah, I agree with all that. The 91, obviously the 91 set gets some love because it's been mimicked by people before. So people do like that design.
Mm-hmm.
It's been mimicked by some indie sets. I think even the Card Foundation, the wrestling,
Major Wrestling Figure.
Right, Major Wrestling
They're the ones that did the homage to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's another independent set that's done that before, it's like that. But I mean, anytime you have a modern, whatever it be, card set of independent or whatever, paying homage to some of the older stuff, you don't ever see anybody really doing a lot with the classic stuff, with the exception of the 91 stuff. The 91, for that reason, for the simplicity of that card design, it just seems to pop and really kind of bring, and it sort of kind of captures that color scheme and that moment for 1991, that time frame for WWF.
Yep.
It screams to me 1991 WWF. Like, I look at that, if you put a blank, nothing in the middle of it and just had the border, I go, that's WWF.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would have made it even more WWF is if they would have took the classic, and again, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Back in the late 80s and definitely into the early 90s, WWF would do those specialized logos for each talent. Boss Man would have like handcuffs.
Well, the backs have that.
Yes, and that's like, if they could have taken those logos and put them onto the 1991 set, I think that would have been like one of the coolest sets of all time.
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, we used to see promos with the green screen and it would have their giant custom logo on it.
Sure.
And to have that on a card, but keeping the same classic card design, such a cool idea.
I like it. That'd be a cool one.
So I pretty much exhausted everything that I've got to say about this set.
Same here.
There's
not much more to say. I mean, when you're dealing with just base sets and nothing to really chase, all you can really do is kind of pluck out any key superstars.
Fun though. Like it's one of those things that you can zoom in on what you like out of this. Just because, even going back to the Fleer stuff again, just because something doesn't have everything you want doesn't mean you can't like laser focus on something, put it in your eBay search, save that search, and just focus on specific cards of a talent you like, or a specific rookie card that you think is going to be big. There's just little avenues that you can kind of pick out from everything.
At this stage in the game, I wouldn't be going after any Fleer stuff as much as I love those releases, because my collecting has changed since back then. So now it's like, oh, I want to go back. I'm a player collector. I want those Kurt Angle cards. That's what I want. Yeah, I already have all the base sets already anyways, but I don't have that memorabilia stuff, and that's all I really care about is memorabilia stuff from those sets. Some of these classic ones, like, even if I didn't already own these sets, on the cheap, I'd probably pick them up because they're cheap. But you know, I'm a Bret Hart fan. I'm an Ultimate Warrior fan. I go after those particular superstars, and from this, that's kind of what makes it fun.
Right.
For
And
that.
speaking of that, don't let us overshadow that. I think I've seen it. I got you started on it inadvertently. More people are doing it now, and that's player collecting. And they're like, I don't know how you're doing your stuff, but I'm collecting base cards. So if you are a Bret Hart fan, or if you're a Hogan fan or whatever, and you're like a super collector, so you want, you know, one card or multiples of your hoarding of every single thing that you can get of that talent, here's cheap cards you got to get to add to your collection. So there's always something out there for everybody, no matter how you're collecting or the way you want to approach it.
That's why I'm going to that guy now.
Yep.
Love it.
That's awesome. Dexter Loomis. If you guys got his cards, let Tony know.
Yeah, hit me up, man. I was happy to get this one. I got a number to 25. I just love the difference in the parallel. I mean,
Telling you, that
so cool.
That 2021 Chrome, just fantastic.
Love it so much, and I'm going after these ones now. You know, for the rookies, I love, you know, so.
Rookie auto, can't go wrong with that.
Yep, I'm going after different ones, but yeah, I mean, just, you know, if you're a fan of you know, Brutus Beefcake, these are great sets for you to go after and kick, you know, get some cool some cool base set cards, and go after that 1990 those promo cards. Like that's probably that's again the best card for me of all the sets are those purple border cards. So yeah, you can get those, and there's something for everybody in that time frames like that. I mean, you don't have to be, just because there's no high-end chase or you know, amazing rookie cards of any kind doesn't mean there's no way I'm ever going to dissuade someone from going after those cards and say this is crap, don't buy it, kind of thing. Just, and you should still get it. It's an important part of your collection, especially if you're a wrestling historian and, you know, you want to go back to nostalgia reasons.
As much as I hate the 1990, I've talked about that over and over. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not saying anybody shouldn't buy them. It's a, you know, it's a totally different argument from like a you know, pricing, pop report, monetary perspective that I argue. You know, like if you're the player collector, you need these cards. If you're a base set collector, you need these cards. A completist, you've got to have them, especially those promo cards like we talked about. So, you know, this stuff's fun. It screams 90s nostalgia, maybe not to the point that the WCW Impel ones do. That's like the ultimate set. But these are good. I mean, you know, there's a lot of affordable chases in this, a lot of affordable things to go after, and you know, some of them could be very, I think, popular and go up way in value, especially if you got a good copy like PSA, you know, 8 through 10. So
sure, absolutely.
And if you guys have any of this stuff, if you're, you know, player collecting an obscure, you know, Greg the Hammer Valentine or you know, Brutus Beefcake like we mentioned, reach out to us on social platforms. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know what you're collecting, what you think of these sets. If there's something we missed, if there's something that's the WTC checklist doesn't have correctly, or you can add to it, let us know. And to do that, Tony, let everybody know where they can find you.
WrestlingTradingCards.com.
What an amazing website.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I saw someone tweeted they were wearing their WTC shirt, which sold out. Thank you, everybody. It sold out real quick. Within the first week, it sold out. And I was wearing it. As a matter of fact, so he tweeted it and said, "Oh, I'm representing that." And he had just like, he's a wrestling all-star collector apparently, and just tweeted a picture of him with the back, you know, showing the back of it's like that. But then I looked at his profile picture, and he's in the profile picture. He's actually, and I see the front. He's wearing the same shirt, and the front's like that. And so I appreciate that. And yeah, it's got the website on there, and that's where everybody can go. And I appreciate anybody who got a WTC shirt. I only have one that I still need to take care of from someone from Australia because of the pandemic stuff. It got kicked back to me as undeliverable because they weren't accepting U.S. mail. And I don't do FedEx and UPS, so I got to find another way to get this shirt to this guy. But anybody who has gotten a WTC shirt, dude, I would love to see people posting pictures of them at an event wearing it. You know, maybe meeting a wrestler wearing it, like that.
You may make me have to cut my card off and cut the tag off and wear it to the indie shows that I go to.
I wish I made extras, man. I could have just sent one, you know, but I kept true to my word.
Yep.
I kept true to my word. I only printed what was printed. There's a 25 that were made. One for Womack, for himself, but not part of the 25. It's not numbered to 25. He got a card for himself, obviously. I have extra cards. I've got some special things I want to be doing that down the road here. But then there's like only 3 promo. I numbered them PR1, PR2, and PR3. One to myself, one went to David Porto, and then one I kept for my son. So that's it. There's no more. I'm not going to print any more of those. But I would appreciate, guys, wear them. Post a picture, tag us on there. Let's share it out there, man. Let people know about. It's surprising to me that there is a good number of people out there who do know about WTC, but all the conventions I do over the years, even on social media, I see people on there like, oh, I didn't know about this website. I mean, next year's our 20th anniversary, man. I mean, I get it. I mean, I totally get it. Like, I always talk about Frank and Son Collectible in SoCal. It was probably around for 20 years before I discovered it.
Yeah.
It was in my backyard, basically. I didn't even know it was there. But yeah, just everything on there, social media, wrestlingtradingcards.com. Every page in the bottom has links to all the, social media platforms. There's a contact us link. You can contact us if you find any errors, corrections, whatever. It's like that. And that's how you get a hold of me. But enough about me. Where the hell they can find you?
At Zhan Morning on almost everything, including TikTok, trying to get back on that. I was doing okay with it for a while, and I know it's really popular, just having some fun, wrestling card. I just recently, well, by the time this airs, it's going to be quite a while, but I have my Steve Austin ornament in my Christmas tree, and I was doing some funny Steve Austin stuff. I'm just trying to have fun and get some people, to just try to entertain and, wrestle.
The whole point about what we do, first and foremost, beyond what we want, which is engagements like that, is education stuff.
Education.
Information and education. That is the focal point. I hope of anybody who's putting out some kind of a podcast, and I'd love to hear more podcasts.
Yes, please.
Card Foundation podcast. I'll never give enough love to those guys. They're growing fast, and I've always said very polished, smooth show. And I love it. I listen to it. It's one of the only podcasts I'm not a big podcast guy. You are, I'm not. And I should listen to more, but I do listen to them. I wish there's people out there have more content. I mean, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of creative people out there. So whatever puts more eyes and ears on our little section of the hobby, that'd be great. I always recommend people to check out Wrestling with Cards. So many cool episodes on there, mail day stuff, breaking sets down. Like, I still think that one of my favorite series
WCW one.
WCW, I love that. It's a set that deserved to be like, I need to talk about all these things and the cool nostalgia about every single picture and everything on the set. And he did it well.
There's so many sets I can't wait to do that on, but it's just it's
time.
We're gonna get there. Like, I don't
these card sets aren't going anywhere.
No. Yeah. Yeah, things get in the way and time, but we're going to keep doing it. So it's eventually those sets will be out there. But yeah, YouTube, Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast. And thank you guys for all your support. And I just want to go back to what Tony said. If there's even like a 1% chance you would ever want to put out wrestling card content, do it. Like, I don't care if you want to talk about how you're, a conspiracy theory that Tony is the biggest Iron Mike Sharp fan in the world, which I think is probably true. If you want to do a whole podcast just talking about those conspiracies, like, do it. If you want to do an all investments podcast, do it. Like, it's what you said. Like, if we get more content creators out there with wrestling cards, no matter what they're talking about, it's going to put more eyes and ears on the product, and more information is going to be out there. More cards are going to be out there. Card value goes up, popularity goes up, and it'd be just, it's a bigger and better community the more people we get involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of content out there for talking about what happened tonight on Monday Night Raw, or what happened on this night for this pay-per-view. There's a ton of content talking about stuff like that. I don't know about the content for figures, but I think, the Major Figure podcast probably has that stuff all.
Yeah, they got it covered.
But there's a lot of different perspectives, and I'm sure there is on other things too, like even figures. But for the card business, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. So, if you've got a unique perspective on something, I mean, I love to hear about it. I mean, whether you want, it's like, well, I don't have time to do that kind of thing, but I don't mind being a guest. Reach out to Zhan or myself if you want to be on guest on one of our shows, or heck, we haven't had any guests roundtables for our, for this. I don't mind. I mean, we got some stuff we're working on, trying to do another roundtable coming up here soon. It's just do it. Just get out there and talk about it.
Thank you guys for your continued support and for listening today. Please subscribe on whatever it is you're listening to this on. A lot of people listen on iTunes. Spotify is their podcast app. There's Google Podcasts, all kinds of stuff out there. So please subscribe, share it with a friend. I can't stress that enough. If there's a wrestling fan in your life that is not collecting wrestling cards, grab the WTC YouTube page, the website, my website or my YouTube channel, my podcast, social platform, whatever it is. Just like share it with them so they can realize that, hey, wrestling cards are cool. They do exist. There's other things out there besides just the run-of-the-mill merch. So do that. Leave us a review. Again, maybe did we decide we weren't going to do a review today because we were in the bingo hall?
No, we're not doing a review. No.
Okay. No review today because it's the bingo hall.
Leave a review, please.
Okay, maybe a 3-star review.
Yeah. Well, I want to hurt our ratings. Like either just don't leave one or leave a high ratings like that.
5 stars. Okay. Bingo hall, 5 stars. Next week, I don't think we'll be in the top. Maybe Madison Square Garden next week. So it'll
we're
have
traveling,
to,
man. I mean, I earn up those frequent flyer miles.
Traveling podcasts. We're just, straight up carnies. That's all we are. So traveling tent to tent. So until next time, thank you guys once again for checking out the show. We'll see you
later.